dense jungle of the Pacific island of Hokua concealed mysteries beneath its thick canopy. For Private James Jimmy Turner and his fellow soldiers of the 33rd Infantry Division, the war against the Axis powers was a relentless battle fought not only against human enemies, but also against the unforgiving terrain. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the dense foliage, Jimmy and his squad trudged through the muddy trails, their boots sinking into the damp earth. In the fading twilight, the distant sounds of artillery echoed through the dense vegetation. Captain Harris, a seasoned officer with a stern demeanor, led the squad toward a makeshift encampment nestled in the heart of the jungle. The camp, shrouded in darkness, felt isolated from the rest of the world. Private Alex Thompson, a lanky soldier with a perpetually nervous disposition, adjusted his helmet and whispered to Jimmy, "I heard rumors about strange things happening in the Pacific, whispers of dark rituals and occult practices. Do you think there's any truth to it?" Jimmy, a sturdy young man with a rugged face and a determination that belied his youth, shrugged off Alex's concerns. "Superstitions and rumors, that's all they are. We've got a war to fight, Alex. Let's focus on that." As the squad settled into the encampment, the air became heavy with an unspoken tension. Corporal Rachel Mitchell, a no-nonsense soldier with piercing blue eyes, caught Jimmy's gaze. "Keep your wits about you, Turner. This jungle has eyes and ears of its own." Little did they know, the shadows of the Pacific held secrets that extended beyond the realm of mere whispers. The war had taken a toll not only on the soldiers' bodies, but also on their minds. In the darkness of the jungle, a clandestine group within the battalion was tapping into ancient occult practices, seeking an advantage that transcended the physical realm. As the night enveloped the encampment, Jimmy and his squad gathered around a dimly lit fire. The crackling flames cast eerie shadows on their faces, each flicker a reminder of the uncertainty that lingered in the Pacific theater. "Word is, there's a secret group in our battalion messing with some dark stuff." Private Sarah Rodriguez, a resilient soldier with a penchant for intuition, whispered to Jimmy as they huddled by the fire. Jimmy furrowed his brow, contemplating the implications. Dark stuff? Like what? Sarah hesitated before responding. Rituals, curses, things that should stay in the shadows. "I heard they believe it'll give us an edge against the enemy, but it's costing us more than they realize." As Sarah's words hung in the air, the distant sounds of drums echoed through the jungle, rhythmic and haunting. The squad exchanged uneasy glances, their senses heightened by the unsettling cadence. The following days unfolded with an undercurrent of unease. Jimmy and his squad carried out their missions, patrolling the dense jungle and engaging in skirmishes with the enemy. However, the whispers of the occult group persisted, growing louder in the soldiers' minds like a dark specter. One evening, as the squad returned to the encampment after a grueling patrol, they found the atmosphere charged with an otherworldly energy. Strange symbols adorned the makeshift tents, and the air felt thick with an unseen presence. Captain Harris, normally a pillar of composure, appeared visibly agitated. He gathered the squad and reluctantly acknowledged the rumors circulating within the battalion. There are those among us who believe in tapping into forces beyond our understanding. I won't deny it, but we can't afford to be divided. Our survival depends on unity. Jimmy exchanged glances with his squad mates, the unspoken realization hanging in the air. The shadows of the Pacific were more than just a metaphor. They harbored secrets that threatened to unravel the cohesion of the battalion. In the following nights, the occult practices escalated. Soldiers reported sightings of apparitions in the jungle, and the drumbeats grew louder, merging with the cacophony of warfare. Jimmy and his squad, torn between duty and the rising supernatural unrest, found themselves at the center of a storm they couldn't control. One evening, after a particularly harrowing day of combat, Sarah pulled Jimmy aside. "We can't ignore this any longer, Jimmy. Whatever they're doing, it's affecting us. We need to find out who's behind it and put an end to this madness." Jimmy nodded, a steely resolve in his eyes. "Agreed. We can't let this tear us apart. Tomorrow, we investigate." Under the cover of darkness, Jimmy and Sarah discreetly ventured into the heart of the encampment. The rhythmic drum beats led them to a secluded tent adorned with occult symbols. Cautiously they entered, revealing a group of soldiers engaged in a ceremonial ritual. The leader, a high-ranking officer known as Major Leonard Kane, stood at the center, his eyes glazed with an otherworldly fervor. As he chanted incantations, the shadows seemed to dance to his command, weaving a macabre tapestry in the dimly lit tent. "Jimmy, we have to stop this," Sarah whispered, her gaze fixed on the unfolding ritual. Before they could intervene, the tent's entrance rustled, and Private Alex Thompson stumbled in, wide-eyed and disoriented. "I followed the drumbeats. What's happening?" Major Kane, alerted to their presence, turned with an unsettling calmness. "Curiosity leads to enlightenment, my friends. Embrace the power that lies beyond the veil." As Kane's words hung in the air, the shadows within the tent seemed to writhe with a life of their own. Jimmy, Sarah, and Alex felt a surge of energy, an unseen force attempting to pull them into the ritual's dark embrace. In that moment of peril, the squad's unity became their shield. With a collective effort, they resisted the supernatural pull, breaking free from the tent. The encampment, now bathed in an otherworldly glow, echoed with the clash of unseen forces. Jimmy, fueled by determination, addressed his squad mates. "We can't let this darkness consume us. We need to expose this, bring it into the light." Together, they rallied those soldiers within the battalion who shared their concerns. The encampment became a battleground, not only against the enemy forces, but against the occult influence that threatened to tear them apart. As the conflict escalated, a revelation emerged. The occult practices had attracted the attention of ancient entities, drawn to the chaos unleashed by the misguided rituals. The squad, now leading a rebellion against the occult group, faced not only human adversaries, but supernatural forces that hungered for the souls entangled in the dark rites. In a climactic confrontation, Jimmy and his squad confronted Major Kane, who had become a conduit for the malevolent entities. The battlefield, once a scene of warfare, transformed into a battleground between the mortal realm and the shadows beyond. As the squad engaged in a desperate struggle, Jimmy seized an opportunity to disrupt the ritual. With a surge of courage, he confronted Major Kane, breaking the circle that bound the occult forces. The tentacles of darkness recoiled, and the supernatural entities retreated into the shadows. The aftermath left the encampment in disarray, but the occult influence had been vanquished. Major Kane, once a respected officer, lay defeated, the weight of his misguided ambitions evident in his eyes. In the aftermath, the squad, now battle-hardened and bound by a shared ordeal, faced the challenging task of rebuilding trust within the battalion. The war in the Pacific continued, but the shadows of the occult had been dispelled, and the soldiers, united against both human and supernatural adversaries, forged a bond that transcended the trials of the battlefield. As Jimmy and his squad stood amid the remnants of the encampment, they gazed into the horizon, the echoes of the occult battles fading like distant drumbeats. The Pacific, once a realm of mystery and shadows, now lay before them as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit against forces that sought to exploit the vulnerabilities of the war-weary soldiers.